Remember that one day you made fun of my hair for looking greasy and dirty, and you went and got hair stuff,
Hair clay.
and now your hair constantly is greasy and dirty.
Welcome to another episode of How Stupid People Succeed. I'm Josh, that guy right there. That is Jeremy Dunn.
What's up?
And this is just a podcast of how two dudes
Trying to figure it out.
figuring life out. Sometimes successfully. Hopefully, most of the time successfully.
Most time the success comes after a couple failures.
Yeah. Gonna fall hard sometimes.
Yeah. Fall hard and get up and then try not to be dumb again. Speaking of which, so goal setting.
Yeah.
Huge part of our life, huge part of our conversation. What do you want? What's your plan to get there? How's the actionable items aligning with those plans? So early on in the podcast, we talked about some of your goals for real estate this year. Mm-hmm. How, especially with COVID and everything else that has gone on, how are you doing with your goals in real estate so far?
Year to date, year after year, I am ahead of schedule. So I'm ahead of my goals of having 60 transactions. So by the end of this coming week, I'll have closed 30 transactions this year. The bulk of them are supposed to come in the first, in the middle two quarters. So quarter two and quarter three.
Okay.
So I'm ahead of where I need to be. First quarter is traditionally it's always the slowest. Mm-hmm. So had a really good quarter two. Quarter three is looking like it's going to be pretty good as well. And obviously I just got to continue that momentum. Yeah.
So did you ever, or other agents you've talked to, has it been easier to kind of keep momentum going, or have a lot of people struggled with transactions or with business through this time period?
Yeah. So there's been a lot of agents, and it's really, so like a lot of real estate agents, what they've done during COVID is they've essentially furloughed themselves. So we're all 1099 people, right? So, we don't get a W-2 at the end of the year. Basically, we work for ourselves. A lot of them, because of COVID, they basically quarantined themselves.
Okay.
So they weren't out showing houses. They weren't taking listings. I don't know if it was out of fear or what, but they just didn't. Thankfully, me and my team, like we were out there still showing houses, putting things in contract, and doing all the things necessary. Mm-hmm. And so, there's a handful of agents here in the area that were still out there just dominating, and so like my personal philosophy is just if going through so I wasn't in real estate in 2008 when the crash happened, but I'm thinking if you're an agent right now and you can successfully withstand COVID and keep your business going and still growing, mm-hmm. I don't think if you can figure that out and you can do it, obviously, the future prospect of your business looks really good.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So what have you done though to maintain not maybe getting distracted or not, quitting and helping people, or, how have you navigated even trying to think about, your own kind of safety and your family and your children and that aspect of it? What?
Nothing. Well, no, it's super valid. So, the average real estate agent in the United States, I think, is 57 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, most people are older. They're not as young as me. I like to consider myself. I'm in my mid 30s.
So your peers, from at least the numbers, have more of a risk
naturally.
And,
yes.
Yeah, and naturally have more of a propensity to be way more conservative with their exposures than obviously you being, mid 30s with no previous heart conditions, or, not obese, or, any of those other things that happen.
Yeah. And so being fairly healthy with those things, my only worry was truly bringing something home to my kids.
Yeah, of
Or,
course.
or my in-laws. So like, I was smart about hand sanitizing, and I still am. Wearing mask occasionally, like when I'm showing a house to a client that's wearing a mask, I typically try to put on the mask just to, just to give them kind of comfort. But, for me, just like going through the whole process, and it really is every day anyway, but, like working for yourself, you wake up every day unemployed. I know that's a cliche that people say all the time, but it's true. I mean, if you don't structure your day and do what you're supposed to do, you're not going to make any money. So if you don't do the little things every single day to move your business forward, is it really a business or is it just a hobby? And like, I'm not in this even though I really enjoy it like a hobby, I want to create this and I want this to be sustainable for the future. So it can be a business. You know what I mean? So, so I'd wake up in the morning, first thing I would do, I would work out, we talked about the meds, so so you want to, the M is for meditation or prayer. So do that every day. Eat smart. D, D is for,
Was that diet? Was it meditation, exercise?
Exercise.
Diet? Okay.
Yeah. Meditation, prayer. E is for exercise. Do that every day. Try to anyway. D is for diet. Watch what you eat. And S is for sleep. Just get enough sleep.
Yeah.
So like it is. Of course, you can attest to this. If it gets past 10 o'clock and I'm still awake, like that's unheard of.
The wheels start falling off.
The wheels start falling off, and so. But just really focusing on those things to help me stay in my daily routine of, doing my stuff on social media, returning emails, client follow up, listing follow up, just a bunch of those things structured to kind of keep staying on top of things. So the business keeps progressing.
So how do you identify the steps you're taking and the consistent disciplines that you have to know they actually get me to where I want to be, or like they're getting me closer to my goals? I think a lot of people, they invest time in maybe something that they don't see the progress, or maybe they don't believe that it's really going to lead to the ultimate goal of what they're trying to accomplish. And it can become frustrating. It can lead to burnout in a sense of you just feel like you're running in circles. So how are you identifying real things that you're doing that help you execute your growth?
So kind of like the most important task type thing.
Yeah, sure. How do you know that task is effective? Right. So like a social media post, anybody can post on social media. How do you try to understand this is going to be an effective post?
Well, so like something like social media, the idea is brand awareness and engagement. So there's different posts for different reasons, so if you do a brand awareness post, obviously you just want people to know what you're doing out there.
Yeah.
Engagement, obviously the back end analytics of Instagram and Facebook, if people are engaging on your posts, they're going to just organically, they're going to start seeing more of your posts because, there's people out there that I'm sure you've been friends with on Instagram and Facebook for a long time, but you never see their posts.
Right.
It's because you don't engage with it, and Facebook and Instagram don't think you need to see it, so they don't show it to you.
Yeah, I know. Like my social engagement, because it's weird because it's almost like now so much of social identity and social equity has become a big part of it. I don't want anybody to feel like left out or that like I feel differently about maybe a friend just based on how I engage. And so I literally try to think about it like I'm voting. So I'm voting to see this person more often if I like their post or if I comment or whatever, because there's only so many minutes, and I'm on social media, don't get me wrong. And I probably spend too much time on it. Like a lot of people, don't get me wrong on that either, but I'm not going deep into social media. Like I'm never thinking about like, oh, who haven't I seen in a while that I should go visit? And you've definitely had some posts that have had extremely high engagements. And I've seen some of them where I'm like, that's pretty smart. And I don't know if you stole it from somebody or if you created it yourself. So what have been some of the social media posts during the whole COVID thing that surprised you and like, oh wow, this got a lot of traction?
So the series I did on meds, that got a lot of traffic, but that was more of interviews of people in the, kind of specialize in those certain areas. One of my favorite, one of my favorite things I got from Sean Carpenter.
Yeah, he's great at that.
Yeah. Oh man, he is tremendous at that. And so like one of the things that he'll do from time to time is like do your favorite band that begins with A and B, and he'll go all so he'll do it for 26 days all the way through Z, and like he'll get people arguing with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like the Eagles or something like that. Like somebody will throw the Eagles in with a T, and he's like, "Dude, what the hell?"
Yeah,
like no,
yeah,
it's an E.
It's an E. That doesn't count.
Yeah, and like you get angry people. I mean, of course, it's kind of in jest. It's all in good fun, but so like things like that get a really good engagement. So beginning of July, I'm going to start something similar. I'm not going to do bands, but I'm going to do something that kind of spans the entire July month, just to try to get a little more organic social engagement.
So you look at like the social side. So then what about some of the other tasks that you go through on a day-to-day basis, or some of those, the most important, the most prioritized items?
Yeah.
How do you identify those as, okay, this is something that belongs in this group or needs moved out and something new needs to, like, because I would assume that's been an evolving part of your business. So for the last 5 years that you've been doing it, I'm guessing, the day this morning doesn't look like your morning did 5 years ago.
No. So when you're just your own agent and you're doing everything yourself, you see a lot of cycles, right? So it's just like, I'm not doing anything, and all of a sudden I'm really busy. Everything closes, and then you're just like, because when you're going up and you're so busy, you're not doing all the other things to make your, because you want to stay up top, right? So having the team around me to kind of do some of those things, because the number one leading indicator for a successful real estate agent is going on appointments. And if everything I'm doing is not geared towards going on appointments or getting deals closed, then the rest of the stuff really doesn't matter. So it doesn't matter how good my social media looks. It doesn't, like that just doesn't matter. So every day I spend time trying to make appointments. And, if I make appointments, I know 60 days from now, I'm going to have closings. Or 45 days, 30 days, or whatever. But, the number one thing I wake up each day and think, I guess from a functionality standpoint is, you need to make appointments. You need to set appointments.
Yeah. As you're talking about that, the thought, and hearing your progression, you think about mechanics, right? So if you talk about pitching, mechanics are imperative, right? If you think about a golf swing, mechanics are imperative. If you think about, some type of specialty position, or you think about basketball, just about any sport out there you can name, volleyball, geez, you think about the mechanics of all those movements. And it's almost like your success in your daily routine is like, I have to rehearse the mechanics, because when that time comes, I have to have that so drilled in that it then creates time and space for the stuff that really is attractive. Right. Yeah. So when you're talking and I was thinking about that, I was thinking about, people that aren't experiencing the fullness of what they could be experiencing in life or their job or whatever, because they simply don't understand the mechanics of what leads to that success. Yeah. And that's something you've definitely done a good job of.
Still not great though.
No, but you've definitely created exposure in your life to be mentored by people, to go after, top-notch resources, top-notch trainings, and not letting a little bit of success kind of slow you down to knowing you need to be accountable to that. So it's like the commitment to the mechanics. So again, if you compare the way, let's say a high school coach is going to teach a tennis player the mechanics of serving a tennis ball, I would assume it's much different than like Roger Federer's coach and how he learned at an extremely high level of, the best in the world. But again, like even back to lifting, like there's certain movements that maybe I'm stronger than you at, or you're stronger than me at. But in a lot of those instances, the best mechanics will do more of a favor for you than just your sheer ability. Yeah. So you may have the capacity to do more, which I think is maybe where a lot of people get frustrated in their career. They know they can do more, but they're not getting more done.
Yeah. 100%.
And so it's frustrating, and it leads to,
I feel that way. Yeah. A lot of times too.
Yeah. So frustration with, yourself, and then you externalize that, and then everybody becomes a bad guy. You're your own bad guy. Everybody's a bad guy. But really, it boils down to like, have you gotten away from your mechanics? Have you gotten away from the real things that lead to executing at, that incredible level? So for you, in those times in the last 5 years where you felt like things were off or things weren't progressing, how did you try to reset that to say, okay, let me evolve my routine, let me evolve what my priorities are?
It's definitely an evolution. It's not like, it's just something like you may be reading a book or you see on a podcast and you're just like, okay, well, I want to try this and see how that works. Just kind of tinkering with the whole process and things you do. So, I tried to add, so like my goal is every 12 to 18 months, I want to add something different to my business. And so, so last year, I added the virtual reality walkthroughs, right?
Okay.
So all my listings get the virtual reality walkthroughs. That's just something I tried, but what that is that's a market separator between me and anybody else. Cause in this market, nobody else does that. And look what happens with COVID.
Yeah.
So COVID, nobody's going out, but I can send a link to a buyer that calls me from Zillow or sees a sign or something like that, and like, hey, you can walk through this house virtually from your house.
Yeah, from your phone.
Yeah,
from your laptop.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
so like that really helped through COVID. And then just picking up on some of the other things that you want to do. So like you and I talked before. Like I want to buy a box truck. So if you buy or sell with me, you get the use of a box truck. Now, the insurance aspect of that,
figure that one out.
Yes, I'm not really sure of that, but but just those different value added type things, and that's really what I look at. So I look at like what kind of value am I getting? Because using a real estate agent, it's not cheap. Totally get it. I totally get it. But the good ones are worth their weight in gold.
Yeah, 100%.
So I have cool little testimony we had. So I had a client he had a house out in a pretty desirable school district, and we knew it was going to go fast. We just didn't know how much. And so the comps on all those things, show really it's really $175,000 house. And I said, hey, if you do some of these repairs, when we were having the conversation before his list, I said, you do some of these repairs, we can feasibly ask for $180,000. It's doable. And then I put the sign, and they did the repairs. And so we ended up, and so like I put the sign in the yard, I think it was on a Wednesday night. By the time I got back to my house, which was a 10-minute drive, I had 3 phone calls for people wanting to see that house. And so we had the conversation. We're like, hey, let's just try it at 185 and see what happens. And then, so hit the market.
So before the price was even up.
Yeah. Before
just the fact that house was listed, it's in a desirable school district. It was already getting hits.
Oh yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And, showed really well. Small house, but showed well. And, so we went from the original 180 or 175. We ended up listing it at 185. And our first day we ended up, or it was the only day it was on the market. We had 15 showings.
Jeez.
15
in one day.
In one day. And, we ended up getting, 5 offers, and the lead offer, the biggest offer, was a cash offer of $196,500.
Oh gosh, that's
so
awesome.
What that does is so not only is the client happy because they're getting $20,000 more.
Yeah.
And it's cash.
It's cash, yeah.
They don't have to worry about the financing and,
we can close
any
this
of that stuff
very quickly.
It's just unbelievable on, like what's happening. And so because the other offers were financed, and I'm thinking, honestly, I guess anything's possible. Maybe it will appraise. I'm like, it's probably not going to appraise. But we didn't have. But with
a cash offer, they can pay whatever they want.
Yes,
right? So
exactly. And they didn't even have the appraisal.
So there's a huge benefit to that offer.
Huge.
Yeah, because a bank's going to say, yeah, we're not financing over appraisal.
Yes.
Okay.
100%. So you have, so just there's just cool little things like that.
Yeah.
And so, but trying to work on that value added to somebody to say, okay, well, this is why you should use me versus so and so.
Right.
And that's really how I look at it. Because I got in this business because when I tried to buy the house, when I tried to buy our first house, this area was super underserved, or at least from what I found out.
Yeah.
Like I was just a kid when I bought the house, but but the area was super underserved. So I'm just like, I'm going to get in this business and I'm going to make a difference. Like I want people, because buying a house is not only, it's a big emotional decision, but it's a big financial decision. And if they're not fully represented to the best of somebody's ability, that's pretty crappy.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's a lot of fear.
Yeah.
And especially again, back to the generational differences, the vast majority of guys, let's say 40 and older, have some kind of skills to do maintenance and repairs around their house. And the vast majority of first time home buyers 30 and under have no clue how to do any of it.
Yeah.
And if they don't have a dad or grandpa that's right there, with a tool belt on that knows what's going on, they're going to have to pay for it, which then accentuates the cost of everything.
Yeah,
I know that's where we're at.
I know you feel that.
I don't, because I'm so afraid that I'm just going to break something or mess something up. I was like, I'm literally calling somebody else to do everything.
Yeah.
But that's a huge part of the equation in that decision.
Yeah.
So good job.
Thanks.
Yeah. We'll check in 6 months too and see if you cracked it, see if you stuck to it.
Yeah. Got to get back on the train. Do it. See, but the cool thing about it is I think it's a myth being self-employed. You can have your own, you can have your own schedule, but also that's the biggest detriment too, because you don't have anybody to really hold you accountable. So like if you're not doing your stuff, you're not going to make money.
Yeah.
And, I have a house, I have a wife and 3 kids who rely on me, and I need to be diligent about doing my things and, making a good living. So,
yep. Yeah. There's definitely an agreement there between what you want versus the sacrifice, including your time that you're willing to have or to give up. There's certain things I know, because my family is a huge priority in my life. I've had to come to terms with, how maybe comfortable Brittany and I were working before kids versus post kid, and what that looks like for our family. And those decisions aren't easy. And you have to be honest with yourself about, and with your family dynamic and with the conversations with your family about, what do we want and how are we going to get there, and what are we going to sacrifice to get there? And at what point is that too much, or what point is it? You know what I mean? That's hard, and that's, talk about evolving.
That's the day.
That's evolving.
That's the day. Yeah. I mean, this past Sunday, it was just, so like we got done with church and they were going to the Japanese steakhouse, which I love. I haven't had sushi in a while. I was, so when they told me they were going there, I was like, well, that sucks. But then, you look down and, like I got 4 appointments on a Sunday afternoon where I don't, I don't get that family time, but it's all about the give and take and finding that balance that, that works for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I think that's all we have.
Yeah. That's
all we have.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Just a real estate only podcast.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Just check up on goals. And I'm sure there's plenty of stuff in there that is universal as far as the application of, touching base. I think the other application that's huge is be honest with your progress. I see a lot of people that get derailed because maybe they have a setback or something doesn't go the way they want, and then they feel like they have to cover up their progress. Hey, how you doing? Oh man, you know what I mean? Like, I hate those conversations. Like
it's not genuine.
It's not genuine. It's not genuine. And then you say, oh, hey, how's this going? It's like, I mean, if somebody's being honest at some point in time, and if you're in a relationship with them, you're going to catch them. And if they're being honest, they should look at you like, it's really hard right now and it kind of sucks. And yeah, maybe because a big part of growth is sometimes things don't feel like they're going well, and you're definitely having to learn how to stretch and endure and be more efficient and manage a lot more, which a lot of times in my life that I've gone through those seasons, they're not fun seasons. I'm not necessarily in a good mood after work during those seasons.
Yeah.
I typically have to like check myself and work through my emotions.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of just universal benefit in that. And I love the idea
with that.
Of just reassessing it and evolving it. And if you're doing the same thing today that you're doing 5 years ago, and it's not absolutely, fast tracking you to where you want to go, then get get used to the constant adjustments. And we've talked about that before, just guys that have been masters of their craft that still adjust, still tweak, still look for an advantage.
You have to.
I mean, Bill Belichick is still cheating in the NFL.
Yes. Did you see that from the
Yes.
Browns-Bengals game?
Yes.
That's like,
He's
why
still
do you
cheating.
care about us?
He doesn't have to. He doesn't have
my
to
gosh.
anymore ever again, but he's still doing it.
Yes.
Still tweaking, which, don't cheat, but still it's like there's something to that.
Yeah.
You know? There's something.
Bill Belichick has gray areas of life. That wraps up another podcast of How Stupid People Succeed. I'm Josh. This is Jeremy. If you like this podcast, share it. Subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Yeah. It's not Stitcher, is it?
Yeah, Stitcher.
Yeah. All those fun.
Some other
iHeartRadio,
MySpace.
Spotify,
We're on MySpace now. It's a new platform coming out. I don't know if you heard of it.
It's up and coming.
Yeah.
That's all we got. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.